Hi, this is Clint Stonebreaker, Executive Director of the Insight Program. Today's topic is enabling. Enabling is a term that's been used in drug and alcohol recovery circles for decades. And there are many different ways of understanding what enabling is. There's enabling as it pertains to a spouse or significant other of an alcoholic. There's enabling as it pertains to a parent of an alcoholic or an addict. The question of enabling always comes back to demonstrations of love and concern. Rarely is an enabler someone who doesn't care about the person who's abusing drugs or alcohol. Now keep this in mind. To enable literally means to make something possible or easy. Again, in the context of recovery, an enabler is thought of as someone who makes it easy for the addict or alcoholic to continue using or drinking, or makes it easy for them to not face consequences for their actions. Now let's go through some common forms of enabling, just to get a better understanding of what people mean when they talk about it or use that term. Giving money to an addict or an alcoholic who said that they need money. Allowing an addict or an alcoholic who's still using to remain at home. Paying for legal costs for an addict or an alcoholic who is continuously in trouble. Now, of course, there are cases where these actions aren't necessarily enabling. The problem is, for a loved one, they're far too emotionally involved in the addict or alcoholic situation to be able to discern. That's why it's so vital, so important to have others involved who are objective, that can provide some good early direction. In the enabler's mind, they're providing another opportunity for this person to get help. In reality, the addict or alcoholic who's in a mode of manipulation, in a mode of using, sees a person who will always be there to pad his or her corners when it's needed. There are some simple questions that a loved one can ask themselves to determine whether or not they are enabling. First question to ask yourself is this action going to help this person who I love find sobriety? Remember, without abstinence, total abstinence, a person's not going to be firing on all 8 cylinders. Another question is, am I taking this action or providing this help because I feel guilty or responsible? If as a parent you are looking back at the history of your child's life and blaming yourself for decisions that you made in the past for the reason why your son or daughter wound up with a drug or alcohol problem, and you're making decisions on how to help out of that guilt, please, I implore you, let that go. Another question is, am I worried about what others will think? Every adult knows that peer pressure is as alive and well in middle age as it is in adolescence. It's just more sophisticated. However, at some point we have to realize that what's at stake ultimately is your own happiness and the well-being of your family. And that has to come first. Our children are not solely a reflection of us. Finally, another question to ask is, am I doing this because it helps my loved one or because it makes me feel better? As I mentioned before, sometimes actions of love are painful. Every parent has to get to the point, or every spouse that's dealing with an addict or an alcoholic has to get to the point of recognizing this is an absolute. This is an action or a behavior that is no longer tolerable, because it's impossible to have a relationship of any depth and quality with an addict or an alcoholic who's actively using. Again, these are not the only questions to ask oneself, but it's a start. And remember, everyone's situation is different. I say this all the time because I believe that it's important in the context of recovery, especially 12-step recovery. it's not one size fits all. Not every situation is the same. If you have determined that a person that you love has a drug or an alcohol problem, and they're on a self-destructive path that is also harming those around them, then it's important to take your power back and to recognize there are things that you can do. And that may not necessarily guarantee sobriety for your loved one, but it certainly puts them in a better position to find sobriety, and it allows you the freedom to let go of what's been bogging you down for a long time. Enabling doesn't work. Control doesn't work. Anger doesn't work. Resentment doesn't work. And most of these methods, people have tried. But taking care of oneself, making decisions out of love, genuine love, wanting what's best for all concerned, does work all of the time. In order to find that, I recommend asking for help. If you're in a position where you've had to work through some of these things and you see someone who's struggling, reach out. Reach out to them. They need you. They need people that understand. Have compassion for the person that you know is an enabler, because you know why they're enabling. They enable because they love, and they don't know what to do. And if you're able to help them, if you're able to reach out to them, maybe they can find a path of recovery similar to you. Thanks a lot, and I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you next time.